Today I'll be taking control of Victor Wembanyama, making him the greatest player of all time. He'll have to pass Michael Jordan in championship wins, or he has to pass LeBron in all-time scoring. Either way, this ain't gonna be easy. We're starting off with the most points by a 19-year-old held by LeBron James with 600. Wembanyama's birthday is January the 4th. He'll have to average at least 20 points until that date. But he took the NBA by storm and they did not see this coming. Wembanyama been putting up 31 points over the last 2 months, and he's 1 game away. Going up against the defensive-minded Rudy Gobert is where he came up with his first problem. He tweaked his knee. Now that brings us to the only thing that can stop him from being the greatest of all time: injuries. Injuries make him retire sooner and make him reach his ceiling faster. And it makes him a higher % chance of being a bust. So he needs to avoid injuries to become the greatest of all time. Wemby is out for 4 to 6 weeks with that left knee sprain. You can see it in his walk. When he returns, he right back to pure form, absolutely destroying the NBA. He is a monster, and it's looking like he's gonna be an all-star in his rookie year. Last player to be a rookie all-star was Blake Griffin. The only thing that slowed down his career? Injuries. If Wemby could stay healthy, he is on the right track to greatness right now. Despite his team having a losing record at the end of his rookie year, they improved by 3 wins since their last season. Hopefully they get the #1 overall draft pick. Wembanyama put up 26 points on 10 rebounds with 2.5 blocks. That got him the All-NBA second team. In the offseason, he works with Manu to work on his Euro steps and finishing through contact. Second year, he gets help with a 2nd overall pick and an 8th overall pick. Now with Wembanyama having 2 extra playmakers added to the team, he don't have to force his shots as much, so he gets way easier baskets, leading the Spurs to a play-in opportunity by being 9th in the West. And that means a matchup against Utah, who is a defensive-first athletic team that the Spurs could not handle, making it the 2nd year in a row Wembanyama don't get to touch the postseason, making him 600 points behind LeBron at this age. Season 3 in Wembanyama's career, we're making a change. He's been putting up about 400 3-pointers a year. He's the tallest player on the court. We need him down in the paint. With Wemby down in the paint causing the defense to shrink, his teammates gonna get easier shots. And he put on 30 pounds since his rookie year, so he's no longer that kid that used to get bullied around in the paint. After a career high 50 points, Wembanyama sprains his knee and he gonna be out 2 weeks. Age of retirement comes sooner and his ceiling drops lower and his chances of a bust increases. But when Wemby returns, we are a better team because they got to play without him, so the ball moves more fluidly now throughout the team, leading to the best record we ever had at 43-39, 7th seed in the playoffs, youngest to ever win Defensive Player of the Year. Facing off against Scoot Henderson in this play-in game, we gotta beat them to make the playoffs. DeAndre Ayton couldn't handle Wembanyama as they advanced to the playoffs. Sucks his first playoff run is against the star-studded Golden State, which led to the Spurs getting down 3-0. They had no answer for Stephen Curry and the Warriors. They have too much playoff experience and there was no stopping this team. But things always work out for the best. Thanks to the lottery of the draft, Spurs get the 3rd overall pick in the draft, and they draft an athletic wing. They got Cole Pete, who is jumping out of the gym. They got Isaiah, who is dominant getting to the rim. They also got Matas, who is a great passer for a forward. And we all know what Wembanyama can do. He is an unstoppable scorer right now. This is the new look Spurs. With the 1st seed in the playoffs, round 1, we go up against the Utah Jazz, and we take an easy 3-1 series lead versus this Jazz team. They had no answer against our San Antonio offense. Bones Highland gets open to knock down this 3 to push the lead to incredible heights. With this being Wembanyama's 4th year in the league and the #1 seed, we gotta go back to LeBron getting swept in his 4th year in the league in the NBA Finals. Can Wembanyama carry us there? Round 2, we're going up against the Houston Rockets, and they have no player over 7 foot to compete with Wembanyama, but Wembanyama can't pick up on the 3-point line fast enough, and they're exploiting it, putting us down 3-1 in this series. Game 5 was an absolute blowout. Wembanyama had to watch from the sidelines. Scoot Henderson goes on to win Finals MVP. Same thing happened to LeBron James with Dwayne Wade. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Wembanyama starting fresh, a whole new look. He is on a mission this season after missing the Finals. Finishing 63-19, he goes on to win the MVP award. Round 1 of the NBA playoffs, they go up against the Dallas Mavericks without Kyrie, so this was easy work for them. Sweep them in 4 straight games, never had a chance. Round 2 of the playoffs, they go up against the Sacramento Kings, and just like the Mavericks, this was easy work. Sabonis couldn't hold Wemby in game 1, couldn't hold him in game 2, couldn't hold him in game 3. Couldn't figure him out all series long. Anything Wembanyama wanted, he got. Game 4, Wembanyama went on to put up a 40-point performance in this win. First time going to the Western Conference Finals. And they're going up against the Denver Nuggets. This has to be the best rivalry in NBA basketball right now between Jokic and Wembanyama. We're going to see who's the best center in the league. Starting off with this back and forth game 1. Neither team could get a clear lead on each other, and the Spurs end up taking the first 2 at home, going back on the road to Denver. In Denver, the mile-high altitude is too much for the Spurs to handle, and Jokic is beating up Wembanyama down below. They start sending a double, leaving shooters open. Series tied 3-3. Who gonna win game 7? Jumping in, we got Jokic throwing a beautiful pass, easy layup. On the other end, Wembanyama gets a layup to go of his own. He too tall. He end up snatching the ball out of the bounce pass, start pushing it in transition. Isaiah misses the layup. Wemby right there to clean it up. He is not trying to get sent home. Spurs working the ball around to get a savior shot. Knocked down from Mac. Let's see if they could get a foul here. Can Jalen Suggs miss a free throw? He misses 1 out of the 2. Wemby pushing it down. They trying to get a shot to cut the lead to 1. They don't do it. Ultimately, the Denver Nuggets end up winning the Western Conference Finals and are going back to the NBA Finals. Disappointing outcome for the Spurs. They had a lot of steam coming into the playoffs. Wemby getting his first MVP. The team was the first seed, and now they're watching somebody else raise the Western Conference trophy. Wemby isn't the only one struggling to make the finals. Jordan was struggling to get past the Pistons. LeBron struggled to get past the Celtics, ultimately leaving the Cavaliers. What's next for Wembanyama? More problems. Season 6, he suffers a hip injury. Them high intense and long playoff runs is having wear and tear on his body. This is the first injury he's had since 2026. And it doesn't stop there. Later in the year, he aggravates his left knee. Wemby is 25 years old. If he never has an injury again, he'll retire at 35. Now that playoffs are underway, the Spurs are going up against the Pelicans, and they beat them in 6 games. Round 2 of the playoffs, they go up against the Trailblazers, where Wembanyama re-aggravates the knee, forcing the Spurs to go down 3-0. Scoot stole the MVP award this year. Now it's looking like he about to steal Wembanyama's playoff opportunity. Fighting through the injury, Wembanyama's not going out that easy and fighting this series back to a game 7, not wanting to go home just yet. Wembanyama gets this crazy block that gives a whole lot of energy to the Spurs. they're still down, he is trying to put the team on his back in any way he knows how. That's the beauty of Greg Popovich. Every player gets involved, and that was a beautiful 3 to make the game 1. Since the MVP, Scoot Henderson, was fouled out, he had to watch from the sideline as his team struggled to create an offense without him being there. And look at this, they can't get open shots to fall, which led the Spurs to pull the reverse sweep, making it back from being down 3-0 for the first time in NBA history. Rematch from last year is back again. They're going up against Jokic and the Nuggets. It went back and forth since tip-off. The Spurs had the slight advantage, making the series 3-2. And when the series went back to Denver, they were not letting it come back to San Antonio because WEMBANYAMA figured out the mile-high altitude and finished off the Nuggets in 6 games. This is beautiful. First time ever making it to the finals, going up against the best defense in the NBA, the Washington Wizards, led by Justin Edwards. He was dominating his whole playoff run, and it didn't stop when they got to the finals. The Spurs had no answer for him on offense, and that smothering defense, they couldn't do anything with the Wizards, leading to easy buckets in transition. Being down 3 games to none for the second time in this playoff run, can he pull it off again and come back from this deficit? Kawhi clamping up Mattas. They having no answer for Justin Edwards. Look at him breaking down his defender, getting to his spot, pulling up. Beautiful jump shot, forcing the lead to 7 points. They try to go down to WEMBANYAMA. Beautiful dunk here. They need him to bring back this series. They go to him again. He throws up this dumb shot at the end of the shot clock, turns the ball over, and ultimately that ends the finals series. Kuminga with the beautiful dunk in transition. Having a finals record of 0-1 is one of the issues they scrutinize LeBron for. Now the question, can he do anything to pass Jordan on the all-time greatest list? At this age of 25, he is currently behind LeBron in all-time points. Coming back the next year, absolutely dominating, putting up the most points he's ever averaged in a year, leading him to his 2nd MVP award. Down 3-2 on the brink of elimination in the Western Conference Finals, we're jumping straight into the playoffs. Dylan Harper misses his initial shot, gets the rebound and kicks it out. Bang! Knocked down 3 from Bryson Tillman. Having a 2-point lead, Spurs go to WEMBANYAMA to ISO the 7-footer. Misses the step back midi, opposite end, they get a mismatch. Cameron Boozer knocks down a simple layup. Going to the matchup again, WEMBANYAMA gets blocked by the center. Now Dylan Harper pushing in the transition, gets it to Anthony Edwards. Edwards misses. For a 3rd possession in a row, the Spurs are going to the isolation for WEMBANYAMA, and WEMBANYAMA struggling to create any separation or to make a shot. Spurs finally decide to choose a second option because Isaiah Collier is injured. The second option is now Bones Highland, their backup point guard throughout a year. Now let's see what he can create on Anthony Edwards, who has great on-ball defense, forces him into an off-balance jumper. Cameron Boozer pushing the ball down court, advances it to Anthony Edwards. They get Bones Highland on Cameron. They have to bring a double team, but it don't matter. Cameron forces it over 2 and knocks it down. Carlos Boozer has to be proud of the way his son is performing. Bones Highland gets the final shot and it doesn't go. WEMBANYAMA is eliminated in the Western Conference Finals. Year 8, one of the key pieces to the Spurs went to Indiana, and they didn't pick up anybody to replace him, and Greg Popovich retires. And again, the knees of Wembanyama is acting up on him. Father Tom is undefeated, which led to the Spurs trading for Kristaps Porzingis because Wembanyama needs a backup. Even through the knee sprain, Wembanyama and the Spurs managed to sweep through round one, having slight troubles with Houston. They end up going to 6 games, but ultimately still pulling out the victory, then going over to Dallas for the Western Conference Finals and beating them in 6 games. Meeting the Wizards, who have won the finals the last 2 years in a row, trying to complete the three-peat. This Wizards team is so balanced with their offensive and defensive attack, and mixed with the fact that Wembanyama is dealing with an injury right now, that made this series tough for the Spurs to win, going down 3 games to 2. Porzingis had way more minutes than he usually gets, and he tried to make the best out of this situation. He was attacking the Wizards, but it ultimately didn't work out in the Spurs' favor. 138 to 117. This pushes it to 140 to 117. Spurs didn't stand a chance this series after Wembanyama went down. The Wizards complete the three-peat. Victor is going to need surgery in this offseason. Victor has already hit his ceiling for as good as he's going to be, and now he's going to start declining at the end of next season. Victor overall peaked at 96. He will only decline from here. Season 9, Wembanyama will be sitting out all year long from the knee surgery he got in the offseason. Without Wemby, the Spurs still make it to the playoffs, but also without Wemby, the Spurs lose in the first round of the playoffs. This will be the first time in a year the NBA has seen Wembanyama, and this is also the first time they'll be able to see him with his new team. He decided to team up with Luka Doncic to chase the ring. Becoming the first seed in the West, Wembanyama and Luka are looking like they mesh nicely. Wembanyama numbers are down because he delegated to Luka. With this team being finals or bust, the playoffs should not be an issue. But the Mavericks end up losing to the Nuggets in the first round of the playoffs to Jokic. And Wembanyama gets frustrated throughout the game, begins to take his anger out. They hash it out after the game, but you could obviously see it's getting to Wembanyama not having a ring by now. Season 11, no more knee problems, comfortable in his new team, another MVP award, another Defensive Player award, sweeps the Clippers in the first round. Round 2, they go up against the Nuggets, but Jokic retires and they beat them in 7 games. In the Western Conference Finals, they play the Timberwolves and they put Luka in every pick and roll. They exploited the mismatch of Luka not wanting to play defense, and they made him a defender, which ultimately won them the series in 6 games. Wembanyama becoming frustrated here in Dallas. And with frustration setting in, Wembanyama is not on par with LeBron James scoring. He is currently at 55 on the ranking, meaning the 5 years Wembanyama have left in the NBA, he can't score over 16,000 points, meaning he's failed the challenge to pass LeBron on all-time scoring, but he still managed to be the greatest player of all time to never win a ring.